than 100 different steps in the synthesis of lipids, neurotransmitters, steroid hormones, and hemoglobin. It is important for maintenance and repair of tissues and cells of the skin and hair. It helps in healing of wounds and lesions, and pantethine, which is a form of vitamin B5, normalizes the blood lipid profile. These are processes in which pantothenic acid is involved. Deficiency is rare to occur. When it occurs, it leads to paresthesia. Source is meat, food of animal origin, yeast, bread, broccoli, avocado, etc. Now we are on pyridoxine. It is required for majority of biological reactions, amino acid metabolism. Remember, pyridoxine, transfer of amino group, neurotransmitter synthesis, red blood cell formation. Pyridoxine occur in three forms: pyridoxal, pyridoxine, and pyridoxamine. All can be converted to the coenzyme pyridoxophosphate. This pyridoxophosphate transfer amino group from amino acid to make non-essential amino acid. This is an action that is valuable in protein and urea metabolism. The conversion of amino acid tryptophan to niacin or to the neurotransmitter serotonin also depends on pyridoxophosphate. Pyridoxophosphate participates in the synthesis of heme compound in hemoglobin. It is involved in the synthesis of nucleic acid in the DNA and of restin. Restin is a fatty compound that provides structures to our cells, and it is stored in muscle tissue. Here we have different forms of pyridoxine. We have pyridoxine, pyridoxal, and pyridoxamine, and this is pyridoxophosphate, and this is a part of enzyme in most of enzymes involved in the metabolism of nitrogen and synthesis of hemoglobin. Vitamin 6 deficiency. Are you hearing me now? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Wanyibora nkagira ngo nabatakaje. Now, vitamin B6 deficiency include dermatitis. This is a skin inflammation. Stomatitis, inflammation of mucosal lining of any of the structure in the mouth. Glossitis, inflammation or infection of the tongues. It is about inflammation of skin in different parts of the body, especially on the skin, lining of the mouth and tongue. It causes neurological abnormalities like depression, confusion, and convulsions. It can also cause anemia. Remember, it is involved in hemoglobin synthesis. The case of deficiency will lead to the anemia. The natural sources are given here. You can read on your own. Biotin or vitamin H or vitamin B7, it plays important role in metabolism as coenzyme that transfer carbon dioxide. This role is critical in the breakdown of food into energy. Now, biotin is involved in many cellular reactions, particularly in fat and the protein metabolism of hair roots, fingernails, and skin. It is a prosthetic group of pyruvate carboxylase, acetyl-CoA carboxylase, and other ATP-dependent carboxylases. Biotin is very important. Among B complexes, the most involved in energy metabolism is the biotin. These are natural sources of this vitamin. Another vitamin is this folate. Folate refers to the naturally occurring forms of glutamic acid, as well as forms found in fortified foods and supplements. This is folic acid. Folic acid is the most stable form of folate. The primary function of folate is as coenzyme. Tetrahydrofolate, you remember about purine metabolism. It transfers single carbon compound for DNA synthesis and repair, and in energy and amino acid metabolism. Folate and vitamin B12 are interconverted in their capacity to donate and receive these single carbon compounds, which are called the methyl group. For example, tetrahydrofolate with a methyl group donates its carbon compound to vitamin B12. This action transforms vitamin B12 into active coenzyme, which will in turn catalyze the conversion of homocysteine to methionine. This is in the synthesis of some amino acid. Without vitamin B12, folate in its methyl form becomes trapped inside cells and unavailable to support cell growth. Folate is essential for brain development and function. You remember this folic acid is given to pregnant women to help a better growth for the fetus. This is the source of folate or folic acid. You know, we said that most of it, vitamins are coenzymes of 4 important or different enzymes. This related to inadequate intake of folate. Individuals with diet that lacks sufficient quantity and a variety of green leafy vegetables and legumes are at risk for inadequate folate intake. Folate requirements are increased during pregnancy, especially in the first couple of weeks of gestation. Folate deficiency is highly associated with the risk of neurotube defect in the growing fetus. Thus, women of childbearing age and pregnant women are advised to meet folate requirements using a combination of natural foods and fortified food to have enough of this vitamin. In many Western countries, governments have mandated flour to be fortified with folate because folate is critical for cell growth and repair, especially for cells with a short lifespan, such as cells in the mouth and digestive tract. Visible signs of folate deficiency include digestive problems. Other symptoms are tiredness, loss of appetite, poor but larger red blood cells, megaloblastic or macrocytic anemia, and neurological problems. A vitamin B12 deficiency will provoke a folate deficiency because it means vitamin B12 is not available to donate its methyl group to convert folate into its active form. So the active form of folate needs B12. So this B12 is needed to donate a single carbon to the inactive form of this vitamin to become active. So deficiency of B12 will affect the availability of or the formation of this vitamin. Vitamin B12 or cobalamin function as a coenzyme in conversion of homocysteine to methionine in the metabolism of fatty acid and amino acid and in the production of neurotransmitters. It also maintains a special lining that surrounds and protects nerve fibers, and bone cell activity depends on vitamin B12. Folate and vitamin B12 are closely related. When folate gives up its methyl group to B12, it activates this vitamin. The primary sources of vitamin B12 is found only in foods of animal origin, except where plant-based foods have been fortified. Otherwise, it comes from animal origin food. Rich sources of vitamin B12 include shellfish, liver, and so on. These are kind of animal for food of animal origin, rich in vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 also is called the cobalamin. Here it has a complex structure. But which is important to remember about the importance of minerals. Cobalt is important in the structure of B12. And risk related to inadequate or excess intake of vitamin B12. About 10 to 30% of all the adults are estimated to have chronic inflammation of the stomach, a condition that impairs the absorption of vitamin B12. You see, about 10 to 30% of all the individuals have chronic inflammation of the stomach, which causes impairment in the absorption of vitamin B12. It is advised that all the adults consume fortified foods or supplements to meet their vitamin B12 requirements. Vegans who do not take fortified foods or supplements will develop vitamin B12 deficiency. However, it can take several years to develop a vitamin B12 deficiency because the body recycles much of it by the absorption. Infants born to vegan mothers are also at risk for deficiency if mother's vitamin B12 status was low during pregnancy. Vitamin B12 requirements are increased of individuals who are HIV positive with chronic diarrhea. Symptoms of vitamin B12 deficiency include anemia, general fatigue, loss of appetite, gastric atrophy, neuromuscular pain, neurological problems, and there is no adverse effect of excessive intake of vitamin B12 have been reported. The last, not sure, this is vitamin C or ascorbic acid. It is a water-soluble vitamin. It is chemically known as ascorbic acid. It is a hexose derivative, closely resembles monosaccharide structure. Here we have a structure of ascorbic acid. It exists in two forms. We have L form, and this is a reduced form, and D. We have reduced form and D and oxidized form. It is present in all tissue and plasma as a reduced form. Sources is fruit, vegetables, but milk is poor source of vitamin C. It is a heat labile. So in the process of cooking, about 50% of vitamin passes to water, 20% is oxidized. By synthesis of it is involved in here we are. When we say vitamin, it is a heat labile. It means it is affected by heat. So cooking will affect it. To the point where 50% of it will pass to water, and only 20% is oxidized. It is synthesized by many animals from glucose via uronic acid pathway. There is a pathway to produce this vitamin from glucose. But for other animals, man, other primate, guinea pigs, and bats cannot synthesize ascorbic acid due to deficiency of the enzyme glucoronate oxidase. It is readily absorbed from stomach and small intestine. Only small amount of vitamin C is stored in the body. It is present in the tissue as ascorbic acid and dihydroascorbic acid. It is mainly found in retina, adrenal gland, pituitary, and thymus. And ascorbate 2-sulfate is a urinary excretory form of ascorbic acid. It is a cofactor for enzyme involved in the synthesis of collagen. This ascorbic acid is a cofactor for enzymes involved in the synthesis of collagen. It is a cofactor in the synthesis of norepinephrine from dopamine in a catecholamine synthesis. It is involved in a variety of metabolic processes. It has antioxidant properties. It is necessary for the incorporation of iron into porphyrin to form heme. Risks are related to inadequate intake of vitamin C. Individuals who do not consume sufficient quantities of fruits and vegetables are at risk for inadequate intake of vitamin C. Because smoking generates free radicals, individuals who smoke have elevated requirement for vitamin C. Vitamin C deficiency can cause scurvy. Signs of scurvy are bleeding gums, small hemorrhage below the skin, fatigue, loss of appetite, and weight loss and lowered resistance to infections. So today we had a long session, but we had no other way or other choice to not do it today because of many changes on your timetable. So I thank you for your kind patience. For those who accepted to remain with me, I see we started with 28 participants, but now you are 10. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You remember in the last presentation, we talked about online quiz. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Your colleague from GACO
Yes, we do.